Damn, son, where'd you find this?
What's up? I'm Trashbo, King of Filth. Haha, got him. The Bureau XCOM Declassified. What a terrible name. Why isn't it called XCOM the Bureau Declassified? Hell, just get rid of the declassified subtitle. It makes the game sound so much more of a mouthful. In any case, the Bureau XCOM Declassified was a game I didn't expect to see in my Steam library. I honestly didn't even care about this game. I knew about it, or I thought I did. In 2010, bloody 10 years ago, I remember XCOM in a very heated time as a lot of people were upset at the franchise. When doing research, I found out that the original E3 trailer for this game, it used to be a first-person detective noir 1950s style game set in the Cold War. From the footage, it looked really cool, but at the end of the trailer, the game ends with just XCOM. Then researching a bit more, I found that this game was supposed to be a reboot of the franchise, which is really dumb looking back at it now, because even though this game was in hiatus for such a long time, it was changed a lot during the course of its development. Ultimately, 2K had always had a plan for old XCOM gamers, so while they tried to reboot the franchise, they ultimately got a backlash they never had to receive. If both games were shown off at the same time, showcasing the franchise isn't going anywhere. It's not going to become an FPS. Instead, they showed off the reboot to then have it go on hiatus for 2 years, only to then show off XCOM Enemy Unknown, with new and old fans loving it in just 1 year, because nobody from my research knew of Enemy Unknown. And that game was in development for just as long, if not longer, than Declassified. So it's really dumb when looking at the management that the XCOM franchise had. There would be no issues if both games were shown off together, as the last official XCOM game to come out before Enemy Unknown was XCOM Apocalypse back in 1997. Then with the following games being sort of spin-offs with XCOM Enforcer in 2001. So of course the franchise and its fans were going to be upset. Who thought this was going to be a good idea? Then after the backlash, the reboot had to go back into development, with it coming back a few years later, shifting from a first-person view to a third-person view with a new name. I'm unsure as to why, but my only theory being 2K tried to change the game's view so then the game might have a chance, but the game was surrounded by negativity, so it never got the chance it deserved, and it's a real shame, to be honest. So as I went in, my expectations were very low because all I knew was this game was bad. That's it. I remember Angry Joe and some other YouTubers being like very annoyed at XCOM at the time, and then literally, no joke, in the course of 1 year, everybody was like, yo, XCOM's pretty dope, yo, XCOM Enemy Unknown, that's pretty sick. Like, I don't get it. Anyway, as you start a game, it boots up a FMV with the date 28/10/1962, with government officials talking about an outside threat, with Jim Gordon over here saying they may have acquired technology that is proof for a more sociopathic organization. The game then shifts to a main character who's sitting and drinking baby, because that's what I love about my main characters. They're hard-boiled edge with emotions they need to hide, because why not? As he's waiting, some person comes in and wants the briefcase, but the other person shoots our main character and opens it anyway. Inside the box is something we don't know, and the lady changes, where our main character has to fight her. Not really even a fight, he just gets knocked out, and then he wakes up and finds her turned to ash. And can I say, what are those subtitles? They are tiny. They are tiny beyond imagination. Holy crap. Not knowing what happened, he gets rescued but witnesses the horror of an alien invasion. Saved, he gets brought to XCOM. And that's honestly the amount of story I can tell. From there isn't much, or if I do tell more, it's a bit spoilery. If anything, here's a tiny synopsis. It's the 1960s. The Cold War is still at bay. You are Agent Carter. You're part of XCOM. You are here to take out the alien scum. But you need to know why and how they got here. It's up to you and the whole of XCOM to solve this pressing issue. The story for the most part doesn't really exist. It's quite bland. There's nothing in it that captivates me. Outside of the 1960s aesthetic, from characters, technology, the way people dress, the way they talk, the locations, the aesthetic is probably the most captivating for this game. But the character models are very robotic looking. They're so stiff. One of them looks absolutely horrifying, like it's looking into my soul. Whenever the characters speak, the lip syncing is way off. Plus, characters are bland. Our main character, Will Carter, it's so generic. The first time we see him, he's sitting down and drinking while holding a photo of someone he loved. If not that, he hides his emotions and is hard-boiled with a heavy past. He blames himself for something that happened in his past, but we don't know because he's hard-boiled. I can't tell anyone about that. Family. I don't know. He is beyond generic. He has no character traits I care for. The heavy past keeps reoccurring throughout the story, but for the most part it's pointless. It doesn't go anywhere and could have been cut out to make Carter more of a fresh character, but ultimately Carter has the same likeness to a blank wall. You know what's there, it's nice to look at, but that's it. It's also Carter's voice. It screams generic to me.
What the hell is Weir doing in the observatory? Does he want a better look before getting himself killed?
There's a lab below the observatory. It's where we've been doing his research. We were close to a breakthrough before, well, all of this.
I hate to break it to you, but we don't have time to wait. I'm fine. And you yelling for me to wake up doesn't help.
I wasn't the one yelling.
It's so gruff for the sake of it.
Hey yo, family yo, it's all about the family.
Who's the guy from Fast and Furious? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blanket.
Time to go fast for family.
Dumb, that's it.
Damn.
And almost everyone in the game is the same. Static and mundane. You never really get a feeling for characters. None of them are interesting. I don't care for who lives or who dies. The only characters I care for were my companions. Not because they added anything to the lore or the story, but because I named them, so I felt that attachment to them. But if the naming scheme wasn't there, I wouldn't care for them. Some characters are interesting in that how they're so good, like Falk. He supposedly knew everything to do against an alien invasion, but that's just me thinking too much about it. But it's like, how though? The game has a dialogue wheel so you can continue to interact with characters to learn more about them and vice versa, and it's nice, but it doesn't add anything. If the wheel was to add a dynamic where it could change the story or at least have an effect to the gameplay itself, then it would be more compelling to see how your answers to questions could affect the relationship with characters. And that could have added something to the overall gameplay, to missions, to something. But in its current state, there's no reason for it to exist because it's pointless. The story quests are bland too because most of them are fetch quests. Sure, you might gain a few new weapons and such, but the story is usually go here, talk to this person, go there, grab this, or go there. No, that's it. There's only 2 types of missions. And it's not all that bad, ironically, but there's no variety. But that's fine because the way it's done, you won't realize because the locations and the gameplay kind of make you forget about it. There's enough for it to make you forget, and that's so cool. But before I forget, if I had to give story any kind of score, it would have to be a 2 out of 10. It gets interesting, but not enough for me to care. This game shows that a story from XCOM can be done, but here is bland, and I would appreciate them trying again if it means we can have another XCOM lore game. For XCOM didn't have one before, or it did, but it was like tiny bits with tape holding it together, and that's just some of the story. But, and here's where the but comes in, the gameplay is actually quite a lot of fun. The first hour of the game felt really boring. The game wasn't fun up until you get this Fallout Vault-Tec arm wrist thing. The game mentions the name like once and I already forgot. I think I looked at the footage as I was writing down the script, but then I completely forgot. And I was just like, I don't give a shit about putting it back in. And once I got it, the game actually got really fun. The gameplay is an RTS and third-person shooter at the same time. It's very much like Brutal Legends, but done well with actual focus. What? Who knew it could be done?
What?
Unlike the previous XCOM games or Enemy Within, you don't have an army. Instead, you have 2 companions to help your missions. And just like the normal XCOM games, they're essential to the mission and can be killed, so you really don't want to lose them. I like how the RTX section has been translated to a third person. You can send your teammates behind cover to hold or flank enemy lines, and it's fun when the aliens have no idea when you're about to flank them. You can tell your guys to focus on separate aliens, or all of you can take out one in particular. It's also pretty cool how the game gives you quite a bit of variety on how you accomplish the missions. Your companions have their own set of skills, so you can use them during firefights. Plus, depending on who you recruit, they might have different skill sets, allowing you to change the tactic you deploy in firefights. In addition to this, a minor but very useful implement when making a decision for your crew is how the game slows down time, so you can make a decision knowing full well that you don't need to worry. What I also appreciate about this game is the amount of weapons you have. There's quite a bit, and everything feels like what it should. Some guns are heavy while others are light. Some are fast, some are slow. Nothing feels out of place. outside of the fact that the human guns are very weak compared to the aliens, but I'm gonna say that's due to the time period, but that's just me like complaining, like making an actual complaint if I had to. Anyway, the enemy choices are 50-50 though. Some of them are really cool to fight, while others are just why do they exist. Like a common enemy is a ship, a literal ship, and it takes forever to kill. It's not hard, it's more annoying. It's like the team forgot how to make an interesting enemy, and so they just put a ship. I enjoy how you can level up Carter and crew, so when given the chance to upgrade, you can upgrade them in how you like. And so this gives me the option to see how the different upgrades can improve them on the battlefield. Although there isn't much to upgrade outside of the powers, not really a skill tree, which I would have preferred a lot more if there were more options for it. For what we have now is fine, but it could have been better. I like the gameplay, it's really fun, but there's a lot of caveats. Like to start off, I hate my teammates. Sometimes when I want them to move to a spot, they sometimes take way longer than it should, or I want them to stay in a certain place, but the AI will come to me anyway. In addition to that, I hate the AI in that they will alert the enemy by shouting out some nonsense, whereby the aliens will be like, yo, thanks fam.
Quiet! Just ahead! Enemies engaged! Repositioning. Set up there.
On my way.
Contact!
I'm ready.
Here they come! They're shielded! Go!
I'm in position.
It's annoying when I want to flank, but the AI is like, there's aliens there. Like, yo, shut up, don't say anything. Plus, I don't know why, but the aliens feel like they do so much more damage than I. It's a bit jarring when I need my teammates in one place, but the aliens can take away 95% of my life when I'm heading towards them or vice versa. And I really like this type of gameplay. I just wish that the AI teammates would be more developed in terms of story for me to actually care about them. You have the option to create custom teammates, but it's a waste of time. You can give them a backstory and choose the field of operation, but the whole backstory aspect is dumb. It doesn't add anything or impact the story. It's just there for the sake of it. I don't even remember what I chose for my guys. It never mattered in the first place. In addition to that, like the normal XCOM games, they're expendable, but unlike those games, their teammates I have here hold skill sets that can't be transferred to other members. So you don't want to lose them, seeing as if they die, then you lose an important skill set during the mission, rendering yourself not as useful, because without them, Carter's not great by himself. You have more members part of your group, but you're gonna need to level them up, and it takes quite a while before they max, so I'd rather not lose these two to then worry about my next mission having to turn down the difficulty afterwards. In addition to that, you have missions to upgrade the teammates, but they're far and few, and they're just there for the sake of it. There's almost no reason for the crew missions to exist outside of padding. You don't even do anything with them. You just set who goes into what side mission, and you don't even get to control it or even spectate it. These should have been a proper RTS game mode like the XCOM Enemy Within, or at least have it be a little nod to the previous games, or just have it be something rather than nothing. The only useful aspect is you can level up your teammates, but because of how far and few of these are, it's pointless. And that's all there's to talk about for gameplay for missions. Outside of missions, you spend most of your time in XCOM's base, but it's bland, it's so pointless. The whole base session could have been cut out, or it could have just been a cutscene. Whenever you're here, this is by far the most irritating part of the game. It's so mundane, it's very repetitive, for all you're doing is talking to people for the sake of the story. The base is quite big, so traveling from one area to another is just a time waster. I would love if the base itself was a management minigame, where you have the option to upgrade different factions like science, weapons, teams, so and so, and depending on what you focus on, I would then go into that field, and that would then affect gameplay. Imagine how much cooler that would be. And honestly, that's it for gameplay. While there's not a lot mechanically, the way it was done felt good. It felt like the game didn't go on for too long, nor was it too short. It was just long enough for it to stay enjoyable. It never felt like it overstayed its welcome. I wish this game had more mechanics outside of combat to make it more interesting, but it's fine. I want to say the gameplay is an easy 5 out of 10. It's average. It could have been better with more powers for Carter to have, so you won't need to rely on teammates that much, but the game is still fun. As for locations and music, I don't even remember the music at all. It's very forgettable. I can't even remember one track. As for locations, they're interesting. For the most part, there's a lot of areas you visit, and I love everywhere you go. That's to do with the city. I love the 1960s aesthetic. I love how you can go around and listen to audio files, learning how the alien invasion occurred subtly without anyone realizing. It's super cool. Even when you reach the alien base, it's also cool how they reformed the way some areas look with the technology. And honestly, that's it for the game. I can do the story, but I think the story, I don't feel like doing it this time. If you want me to do it, just message, type it in a comment, because it'll be so quick that you'll be like, damn, was there any need? And I'll be like, because you asked. Anyway, take care and see ya. Don't forget, I'm Trashboat, and please subscribe. I was meant to go the other way. I was meant to go, don't forget, I'm Trashboat, subscribe please. But you know what, never mind, forget it. I said it anyway. Alright, see ya.